Hey, welcome to the Gary Abbott Podcast show. Today I have a guest. We are trying the 2-mic system, and this is my first time with the Rodecaster Pro with 2 microphones and a guest. And let me welcome the guest. The guest is Lonna. She has a podcast channel. Her channel is Dollhouse Miniatures. Thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is kind of impromptu and not really planned, but okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about your podcast channel?
Well, sure. My podcast channel is called Dollhouse Miniatures, and it is a podcast all about building miniatures and making them special, personal, and meaningful.
Wow. And how many podcasts have you done?
I've done 2.
2? And when did you start?
I started a week ago, so my plan is to release a new episode every Friday.
Wow. And so, what was your first podcast about, and what was your second podcast about?
Well, my first podcast was all about introducing the channel and talking about what I hope to accomplish with that channel. The second episode went into my first experience with Dollhouse Miniatures and what we're working on right now. I do these miniatures with my mother.
Wow. And how long have you been doing these Dollhouse Miniatures? I believe you also have a YouTube channel. I
do have a YouTube channel called Dollhouse Miniatures.
Wow.
I've been involved in building miniatures probably for about 20 years. Most active over the last 5 or 6.
Wow. That's great. And so the first podcast was about your channel. The second podcast was about what?
It was about it was about my first dollhouse that I ever received. It was a gift, and so the first half of the podcast is about that, and the second half is about an experimental project we're working on right now. We're building a dollhouse out of primarily foam core poster board.
Wow, not the typical wood and kit?
No, it's not by a kit, and that's why we're building it with the foam core, because we're building a replica of an old Victorian home, and it has very tricky roof line, and the shape of the house is very unusual, and so we couldn't really find a kit to replicate that.
Wow. So it sounds very, very interesting, and I really want to thank Lonna for coming on my podcast to talk about her channel. This was a great introduction for me to having a guest use a second mic, and as I experiment with the Rodecaster Pro. But thanks, Lonna, for sharing about your channel, and I hope to have you back as another guest.
Well, that sounds great, and you didn't even say happy birthday.
Oh, and today's your birthday. Who knew? Who knew that today was your birthday? Thanks for listening. This has been the Gary Abbott Podcast Show.